Welcome to this EMS web training session. In this session, we're going to be talking about the user permissions required for external audits and internal audits. So this will define what users can do what functions within these external and internal audits. The list of user permissions required are different for the external and internal audits. The external ones are much more locked down for what specific people can do specific functions. The internal audits and internal inspections are much more wide open, and they can be locked down as tightly as the external audits, or it can be pretty much open to everybody for your internals. And so that's just chosen by how the internal audits or inspections are created. So let's take a look at the external audits first. First of all of these functions are locked down to the people that are assigned to the audit personnel for the external audit. So to create an external audit, all you need is access to the Audit Inspection tab. So that's pretty open to everybody. Once the external audit has been created as a draft, then it can be submitted still by pretty much anyone who has access to the Audit Inspection tab. So creating and finalizing an external audit is pretty much open to everybody. Once the external audit has been finalized, then in order to edit, copy, or delete any of the information on the external audit, you have to be either the lead auditor or the audit creator. So if you want to change the lead auditor, then the existing lead auditor has to do it, or whoever created the external audit. And you can see who created an external audit by looking at the external audit profile. So here we're looking at an external audit that's been created and finalized. And so under this right-hand side pane, you can look at the change history, and you can see who created this external audit. So that creator can always edit it as well as the lead auditor. In order to close or reopen this external audit, or to edit the assigned audit templates, you also have to be the lead auditor or the audit creator. So both of those personnel can go and close the external audit, or they can click into this checklist template and edit or add additional checklist templates. The other thing that you can do as lead auditor or audit creator is to edit the audit personnel or to add additional audit personnel. So you would be able to click into here and be able to add and edit any of the information here. Also, the ability to add and delete documents is open to anybody that is listed under those audit personnel. Anyone who can access the external audit, meaning that they have access to the audit inspection tab, they can, all of them can view the documents. So we have different permissions for add, edit, and delete documents, which is locked down to the audit personnel, and then anyone can view the documents. Okay, the personnel that can view and fill out the checklist items, all of that is open to the specific audit personnel that are listed here. If the personnel is tied to that checklist template, so if we look at the checklist template, we have specific inspectors or auditors that are tied to that checklist template. So if you're one of those people, when you look at the audit profile, there will be a separate section here that says assign checklists, and you will be able to immediately click into the checklist on this page. The other functions under the external audit is being able to create a finding, and anyone who is listed on the audit inspection personnel can create a draft finding in an external audit. When we look at the audit inspection personnel, there is a group that has can finalize checkboxes. Personnel that belong to the groups with the can finalize will have the ability to go into an individual finding and finalize that finding. Also, those same personnel can mark multiple draft findings using checkboxes and use the mass assign finalized finding observation button. Okay, so all of the personnel also can view and edit any notes that are included on this page. For internal user permissions, you can have the ability to edit audit personnel. So you can choose whether or not to add audit personnel to the internal audit. If you do not assign any audit personnel to an internal, then all of the permissions are open to everybody. You would be able to edit, copy, and delete. Everybody would be able to do that, as well as the functions of closing, reopening, the audit templates, and being able to add and delete documents. If you add personnel to the audit personnel, then those functions get locked down to the personnel that you specify in those groups. So you have two major ways of dealing with internal user permissions. One is to leave the audit personnel blank, and then everybody has access to do everything within the internal audit or inspection. So usually that's the way you handle all of your internal inspections. For your internal audits, usually those are done more like the external audit, and then you go ahead and define your audit personnel for the groups that can create your draft findings and the groups that can finalize the draft findings. Okay, and so that goes through the user permissions for both external and internal audits and inspections.